Dear chess friend, welcome on my YouTube channel. I am Grandmaster Aleksandr Rakhmanov from Russia. My FIDE ELO is 2650. Today is November 23rd and the World Championship match is coming between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi. So I decided to show you my game against Magnus Carlsen from 2019 World Rapid Championship. Let's go to the board. I was lucky to play white, so my choice was 1c4. Magnus played e5, one of the most principal choices against c4, against English opening. And I went for my favorite tricky line, which I think I can call as Rakhmanov variation, because this move is not that favorite among other players. Black has choice between e4 and knight c6. d6 is possible as well. So knight c6 and d4. That was the point about knight f3. The difference with classical version that there is no knight on c3 and knight on f6, and this is definitely in white's favor, because otherwise black bishop can go to b4, pinning the knight on c3. So e takes d4. Sorry, but I'm not gonna tell you what is the best reply, since I still play it time to time and wouldn't be happy if somebody plays the best moves against me. So because knight d4, knight f6, knight takes c6, b takes c6. Actually, d takes c6 is a decent option. Then queen takes d8, king takes d8, and black is more or less okay. B takes c6 and g3. So what is white's idea? White is much better in terms of pawn structure. Black has double pawns on c7 and c6. So it's a question if black will be able to coordinate his pieces in a good way, in the right way. Otherwise, like I played many games with this line, and most of the times I got a pleasant advantage. g6, g2, bishop g7, knight c3, castling. Not much is going on till this moment, and here he still was playing more or less quickly, and that was definitely a mistake, because as I told you previously, black needs to find the right way to neutralize white's advantage. Rook b8 seems to be like a useful move, placing the rook to the open file, but in fact after queen a4, surprisingly a7 is hanging, so seems like black should play a6. And now we have very interesting option, a nice positional move, c5, fixing black pawns, and it's not that easy to solve problem of the bishop on c8, which is pretty bad now. So he went queen e7. Interesting thing that I knew all this, and because I surprisingly after the game I noticed that actually I have played like this several years ago, And here we have a critical position, because black has serious problem with his pawn on c7. Something like d5 doesn't seem to be good. So yeah, I would like to flip the board and give you opportunity to find the best move, which actually Magnus did. So you have opportunity to find champion's move here. I can give you just 5 seconds to stop this video and try to find this move. I mean, of course, you need definitely not 5 seconds to find this move, but I give you 5 seconds to stop the video. And I hope you did this, and we continue. So with passive play, black definitely has no future here. His position is pretty bad. That's why I really like his choice, and this is not like something that I was afraid, but this is something that I thought should be the best move to create more problems for white. So the best move is knight d5. Active move, sacrificing a pawn. Knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, and queen takes c7. So if you will pay attention to white pieces, we can see that white has developed only bishop on g2 and his queen on c7. The rest pieces are not developed, and this is black's idea, black's point about sacrificing the pawn. Now bishop e5, queen a5 is forced. Rook b5, attacking the queen. Queen d2 was an interesting option. I played queen a3. Bishop b7. Once again, here it was possible to play rook d1 maybe. I played rook b1. Queen c5, queen takes. Rook takes. Rook d1. And black was able to recollect the pawn, but still he has some problems with pawn structure. Actually, his pawn structure is terrible. So rook b8. And here it was last critical moment. White has advantage, but we need to make something really important here. And this is second position. I would give you opportunity to make a move. This time not for world champion, but for me. Also, I didn't do this move, and that's a reason why Magnus was able to escape. So once again, I give you 5 seconds to stop the video, and then maybe spend 5-10 minutes if you would like to improve your chess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. In the game, I played bishop e3. Suddenly, after d4, black is okay. Also, even d4 is not that necessary. But I had very nice opportunity to push b4. Since pawn on rook on c5 is protecting d5 pawn, so just kicking away this rook. Rook c2 is obvious move black should play, attacking both pawns on a2 and e2. Bishop takes. And the problem for black, he actually cannot take on d5, because then I take back on d5 and attacking both pieces. The rook takes e2 and bishop h6. One of the best moves for black here is rook c2. Then we can do a4, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, d6 and bishop e3. And still white is better thanks to his passed pawn that more or less easy to create by playing b5. So let's say if white would be able to trade both rooks, then his position is completely winning. Of course, black is not going to help us. So that was my last chance to create some problems for Magnus. In the game I played bishop e3, and after d4, of course, he was happy to escape, let's say, to drawish position. Take, rook c2, and of course it's well known that rook endgames have drawish tendency. So after rook c2, rook takes d7, rook e2. e2, rook d6. And here also another interesting decision by World Champion. I can give you last position to solve. Once again, I give you 5 seconds to stop this video. Black to move. And I can even make it a bit easier for you, or maybe a bit more difficult for you. Black has a choice, either to sacrifice a6 pawn, because anyway he cannot save it by playing a5, let's say, or he can do rook e6, offering white to go to pawn endgame, but definitely keeping the pawn on a6. So what would be your choice? To sacrifice this pawn or to protect it by playing rook e6? Take your time, no rush, it will be good exercise for you. So it was really interesting that Magnus did his move just in few seconds, and he played rook b2. Actually, any other move would be fine as well, just even rook a2, for example, or king g7. What is interesting that he even didn't spend any time on calculating rook e6 because he knows that rook endgame is completely drawish. So why to risk and go for pawn endgame, which is really hard to calculate, and pawn endgames is something really complicated and something hard to, like something easy to make a mistake in calculation. Also, after rook e6, position is drawish. So actually your answer would be fine, either to play rook e6 or not, but still rook e6 creates some problems for you maybe. Also position is drawish, rook e6, rook takes. And after g5, it's full position. So in the game he went for rook b2. g4 is classical move, of course, that we do once we have advantage in the end game, sometimes even in middle game. But here it makes no sense anyway, since it's well known that position with a pawn and 3 against 3 on the king side, it's just the draw. So actually there is not much to comment here anymore. Just let's see what happened. The problem that let's say once we try to bring our king to the queen side, then of course black king is gonna grab our pawns and promoting his passed pawn. That's why we don't have such opportunity. And once white places his pawn to a7, it's okay to keep black king on g7 or h7, but here it's also fine because white cannot give check from f8. So rook a3. Also, white king cannot go to b6 because then simply checks on b, c files, easy draw. And eventually this is of course the draw. Also, maybe it was good idea to at least to stalemate him. Why not? So that's it for this game. I hope it was interesting for you. See you in next video. So after knight f3, white is attacking e5 pawn. Black should play knight c6. And after e5, I immediately used to Faka makala faka.